Hello, my name is Hassan Sorrells. This is Tom Living,
Hey everybody, welcome
and
back.
you are welcome back. And you are listening to the GrowthCraft Podcast, Season 2. The GrowthCraft Podcast is designed with the startup founder in mind. This podcast is committed to growing your connections to not only our GrowthCraft advisors, but it's also dedicated to increasing your engagement with the GrowthCraft community and to growing your knowledge about all of the benefits that GrowthCraft can provide for your project, your purpose, your business, and of course, the thing you are building. We can't wait to bring you along on this journey today. So, here on the podcast, we interview startup founders, advisors, and others about their journey, their process, their product, and what they're building. And I'd like to welcome to the podcast today, Jim Vlachos. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing well, thanks.
So, for our listeners, let's go ahead and get it started. What is it that you do exactly?
Exactly what we do is we provide an online companion service for it's geared towards senior citizens, but also it's really for anyone who's experiencing social isolation for any reason of any age. So it could be someone who's maybe has a long-term stay in the hospital. Uh, they're at home with injury or illness for some reason, or for whatever reason they're experiencing social isolation. But primarily, it's going to be geared towards the elderly because there's a big problem, growing problem with social isolation among the elderly in the United States. And it's actually around the world. There are other countries as well who are experiencing this problem. But right now, we're focusing on the US market.
So now, in fairness, Jim, so you and I have had several conversations. I know Hassan and you have had conversations. So we have a little bit of an unfair advantage with this question because I think I already know some of the answer, but I'm gonna ask anyway. So what was the catalyst for you to start this business, or why you? Like what made you think that you should or could solve this problem, and what sparked that interest in you?
The reason that I had this idea to do this service 15 years ago was because my grandmother was in a nursing home at the time. She lived to be about 96 years old. And for
Well,
the last 5 years, yeah, but last 5 years or so of her life were pretty tough because she couldn't do the things she normally did. She couldn't go the places she would normally go, and she couldn't see the people she would normally see. And she was an extremely social person. Like you show up at her door on a Tuesday morning, knock on the door. Oh, hey, how you doing? Come in. I'll make coffee. We'll talk. And then she'll have an hour-long conversation with you. She thrived on social interaction. And towards the end of her life, she wasn't able to have it that much. Um, we lived maybe 8 minutes down the street. We would go visit her multiple times a week. Me, my ex-wife, my parents, uncles and aunts, but we all worked. We couldn't get to her before like 6 p.m. at the earliest.
mm,
But it's a long day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., nobody to sit down and talk with. Now, in a nursing home or assisted living or something like that, you're surrounded by people. But the perception of isolation is actually has more of an impact than the actual isolation itself. So yes, there are other residents. They have activities. There are there's staff there, but they come in the morning. Maybe they'll check you, make sure you to take your medications. They'll chat with you for a few minutes, but they have a floor to take care of or a whole facility. So they can't sit down and have a real engaging conversation with you for an hour or even half an hour. So that's something that was really difficult for her to lose that. And along with that come feelings of loneliness, isolation, depression, cognitive decline. Actually, I've seen different various studies where uh, it shows that isolation all by itself can contribute to cognitive decline significantly. So that's how I had the idea for this service, but there were two problems, which is why I didn't start it 15 years ago. One of them was the technology was not quite there yet. Uh, some older people, some seniors, uh, they can use technology just fine. My mother's uncle, I remember he was 90, 91 years old. He had a smartphone. He knew how to use apps. I was impressed. Websites, no problem, because he's the type of person who likes to do that sort of thing. My mom, no way. You know, for instance, I call her sometimes when I'm not in the US. I call her on WhatsApp because it's free. And I ring her on WhatsApp and the phone's ringing and it's ringing. And I know why. It's because she's trying to answer the phone, but she sees a green button and a red button. So she's pushing the green button and nothing's happening. And then, call me on a real telephone. Because on WhatsApp, you have to touch the green button and slide your finger. And she always forgets. And then I call her on the phone and I say, I'm going to call you back, touch the green button and say, oh, right, slide my finger. Okay. And then we talk. So that was number one problem, is that back when, now 15 years ago, you're talking about Skype or maybe rudimentary Zoom, someone would have to be there with them to log them in onto the tablet or the computer, make sure to remind them of their appointment, et cetera, so that they can use this. So that was one problem that kept me from doing this. The other one was security. I'm like, gee, what if, we hire people and we think that they're good people and then they turn around and scam $10,000 off of Mrs. Smith or something. So we can't have that either. So I couldn't figure out ways to solve those problems. But now the technology is there, so we can greatly mitigate the technology problem for any seniors who aren't able to use technology very easily. And we solved the security problem probably as well as it can be. I can elaborate if you'd like. And so now we think that we have a service that's easy enough to use and also secure.
Thanks, Jim. That was very good. I want to go back to, or I want to explore a little bit about the space of social isolation. And you said it would be, obviously, you mentioned, folks who were elderly in your example there. But we're noticing with the increasing ubiquity of cell phones, right? And other technologies, that people are experiencing more and more, and social media, of course, people are experiencing more and more social isolation in practical ways at younger and younger ages. I recently saw a story that flashed across my LinkedIn that people are utilizing Chat GPT for therapy now. And I have all kinds of problems with that.
I have some reservations.
This Tom Libby. I'm not the only one. All kinds of problems. So let me, that's all the preface to the context of this question. How can this tool best be used by someone who maybe is a little bit younger and is maybe looking to become less socially isolated and more engaged?
Well, first of all, I would say the best thing to do if you're feeling socially isolated and not personally engaged with people, and because of all the reasons you just mentioned, find a way to go out and meet some people. Ideally, I would love to have a horde of volunteers go out to the elderly and anybody else who's socially isolated and go and visit them in their homes. That'd be great. It's not practical. And just for the elderly, it's not cost effective. I know a couple of people who actually do have help come to their parents' house 3 or 4 times a week in person. And it's not just to help them to do things, but it's just to, have a conversation with them, see how they're doing, et cetera. Well, it's expensive and these people are rich. So to get to do that in person is not practical or affordable a lot of times when we're talking about elderly people. But in terms of the Javela service for people who can be less socially isolated, they're able to choose a companion. So it's not like with like a meetup group where you go and you talk in a group of people. And especially if someone has like social anxiety or something like that, talking to a group of people is not easy. Talking with a person one-on-one is a lot easier. So one aspect of the Javela service is, we call it Javela Friends, by the way. That's the name of the service itself. The company is Javela, service is Javela Friends. They're able to talk with one person. They're able to have a conversation with one person, a focused, directed conversation, a connected conversation, and they're able to develop an ongoing, if they want to, an ongoing relationship and perhaps even a friendship with this person. So that's what we're shooting for overall. And certainly that's not just limited to seniors. anyone of any age can use this for exactly the same reason. Maybe if someone, for instance, experiences social anxiety, they have trouble. Some people are agoraphobic, right? And that's actually becoming more prevalent now. Maybe this can be sort of like a stepping stone to getting some in-person social interaction, is to first start out with this friend that you met online. And some people are worried about that. They don't know who they're going to meet. They don't know, is this person dangerous? They can meet someone who's been background checked and vetted by us, and also all the conversations are recorded and monitored. So they can sort of feel more secure that the person that they're talking to is not anyone who's going to try to take advantage of them.
Sit down with GrowthCraft's expert advisors for a candid, interactive session focused on all things funding. From crafting smart fundraising strategies to making confident financial decisions, this open forum gives you the space to ask the tough questions, get real answers, and explore what's working in the world of startup capital. Whether you're bootstrapping or preparing for a raise, you'll walk away with insights you can apply immediately. Register to attend Funding Fridays at GrowthCraft by signing up for membership today at growthcraft.org/membership.
So Jim, you've mentioned a couple of things that already answer this question I was going to ask you. But what I'm going to ask it to you anyway, because I want you to put them kind of in a nice little bow for people, because you've already specified why your solution is actually a better solution than some of the things that are already out there. But if you don't mind, can you kind of tie them up? Because you've kind of spotted them through your conversations, and I don't know if everybody could identify where they were. So that's why I'm asking you to just kind of wrap them all in together for me. So why is your solution a good solution and or one of the better ones that are out there compared to some of the things that you're seeing out there as answers to this particular problem?
Let's stick right now with the main thrust of what Javela Friends is for elderly
Yes. Yeah.
Seniors. It's easy to use. The technology problem is basically not there. We send you a tablet. It's pre-configured. You don't have to install any apps. You don't have to. They could just use Zoom and talk to each other if they could do that, right? If you log in, get an account, remember your password, et cetera, et cetera. They don't have to do that. We send them the tablet. The tablet is pre-configured for them. All it does is sit there and wait for a call. You just have to keep it plugged in and keep it turned on, so it doesn't run out of battery, and that's it. And at call time, the companion can call you. All you have to do is push one button. The little blue circle shows up. Tap this blue circle to answer the call, and that's it. So number one, even though there are lots of video chat technologies out there, there isn't one that's going to assist the elderly in doing what we're talking about. Number two, as I said, for people who are able to use technology, like my mom's uncle used to be able to, they can be their own account holder. They can set up their own appointments. They can navigate all that stuff. But otherwise, what Javela does is it makes it possible for family members, friends, perhaps nursing home administrators. Javela can even do it if a person doesn't have someone to be their account holder, who can help them set up appointments, choose a companion, someone to talk to, and then be able to use the technology, which is very simple to use. You just have to know to push that button. So the specialization of the technology is something that's really going to be helpful for the seniors. Also, it's not just anybody you're talking to. You're talking to someone who's received some training, number one, in how to engage both socially and cognitively, but not just that they have had training. We hire people who are good at that. You know the type I'm talking about, people who can talk to anybody, people who love to have conversations, they love to meet new people. These are the kinds of people that are companions. So you're not just out, at a meetup group or something, meeting somebody you don't know who it is. You're talking to someone who knows that part of their role there, first of all, mainly their role is to be a friend, to be a companion, to engage with you socially, but also part of their role is to be aware of what challenges you might be facing and try to help you out. So for all those reasons, this is something that I wish had been invented a long time ago. And I know there's people out there who need it.
There's also a cost comparison, right? Because I know that there are organizations out there that you can hire companions to come in and, you know, and be physically in the house, but you're paying a significantly more amount of money more than what you're offering with the virtual.
Yes.
Like, so it's also a cost saving. There's also cost savings for, it's also cost effective, I should say, because
Yes.
I'm not discounting those people that are there physically, because that's helpful too. And
Of
they
course.
can do some other things around the house if they wanted to help them out a little bit physically, sure. And there's totally a benefit to that. I'm not suggesting there isn't, but your solution could potentially help more people because of the cost effectiveness as well.
Yes, that's one of the big things that we wanted to make sure we could do, is make sure that the cost was not too much, because the service like the one you're talking about, the people that I've spoken to who use those services for their parents or grandparents, for instance, they cost hundreds of dollars a month, if not more.
I think one of the ones locally here for me, they start at about $32 an hour. So, I mean, you're talking a couple hours a week, you're, to your point, you're at $100 easy, like for a week, 1 week.
Right.
So,
anyway. So where our target is $60 a month. And for that $60, you have 4 hours of meeting with your companion. Now, it could be multiple companions if you want. Some people want to be global socialites. They want to talk to a different person every week. Great. Or we think what will probably happen is that most people will want to talk to one person and really develop a relationship with that person. Sure. So it's, you can talk, twice a week for a half an hour each, or you can talk for 1 hour once a week. And then that's $60 for the 4 hours. And then if you want additional hours, you can, for $15 an hour, you can have additional hours. If you buy a 3-month subscription, you get a 10% discount. And if you buy a 6-month subscription, you get a 20% discount. So now you're talking about $48 a month and $12 an hour for extra hours. So we think that's going to be affordable for most people. We are also looking at operating the same service on a volunteer basis to reduce the cost for people who can't afford $60 a month either, because there's a lot of people out there who the reason that one of the reasons they're socially isolated, they don't have family, they don't work, they're on a fixed income, they get a government check, maybe they can't afford $60 an hour. So we're going to be looking at ways to help those people as well.
So normally I wouldn't make a suggestion on the show to a guest, but a place you may want to look at as you were talking. I have a history in my other roles that I've had of working with departments of social services. And when you mentioned the volunteer piece, I don't know if you've considered looking in those areas in your state, but state Department of Social Services are always they always have a bevy of folks who are coming out of either social work programs or coming with a social work background who would be extremely interested, particularly in the adult protective services area, particularly in the Northeast. I'm extremely familiar with that system there. Would be very interested in either partnering with you or being engaged with you around something like this.
Definitely. One thing that we noticed was we got a lot of response when we were looking advertising for companions. We got a lot of responses from people who are actually in that very field. They're either psychology students or social work students, or maybe they're recent graduates, and they want to engage in this type of activities so that because it helps them to get into that field as well. So and then the type of thing you're talking about with social services, et cetera, sure, they in fact, they could probably use, my guess is that one of the problems they have communicating with their clients is because the clients, you can call them on the phone, but you can't really sit here and do what we're doing right now because they can't use the technology. Well, maybe they could use the technology. That I had not thought of.
Yeah,
perhaps they could use
caseworkers could
yes
use it for in between visits, right? So
Yep.
because they do have to go physically to the home, make sure the home's safe for them, things like that. But
Mhm.
the in between visits, they could use it as a tool just to just a check-in instead of
Yes, and all the client would have to do is keep the tablet plugged in and keep it turned on. And most people know how to do that.
Mhm.
Everybody who's been born in the last 100 years knows if you want to power something, you plug it in, right? So they know that. Oh yeah, I got to keep this plugged in. If you told them, don't worry, you don't need to plug it in, they'd be like, why not? So this
Right.
actually works in our favor.
there's
Is
no
that
such thing
yes,
as a perpetual battery.
keep it
Yeah,
plugged
yeah,
in, and no problem. Everybody understands that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
So before Hassan asks you the last question, I want to turn take a little bit of a left turn here about specifically about GrowthCraft. So I want to ask you a question that and give you a little bit of freedom to kind of answer it however you want. So you've been a member of GrowthCraft for a little while now. I know you've had some experiences. Notice I didn't say good or bad, I just experiences.
they were all good.
But I wanted to ask you, so tell us about what you like, what helps you stay with GrowthCraft? What do you think is like some of the better parts of it, and what do you like about it? Don't tell us anything you don't like about it. We don't want to hear that on the podcast. No, just kidding. I'm
But
kidding,
if
but
I can think of something I don't like, I'll let you know.
okay.
But it's invaluable. It's absolutely invaluable. I'm starting up a business here, and I know what I'm trying to accomplish. I know about the service that I'm trying to provide. I don't know anything else. I don't know what kind of legal advice I need. I don't know all the different funding options. I don't know anything about advertising and marketing. I need help. Where am I going to get this? Well, I just happened upon GrowthCraft on the meetup.com site. And so I went to this meetup, GrowthCraft. I don't even know what it is. It says something about startup companies. Okay, I'll just go and see what it is. And so I don't remember if it was you, Tom, or if it was Kevin that was talking about this at this particular meetup. And they're describing what GrowthCraft does, and they have advisors. And basically, these people have all the information I need. I wonder if I can afford this, because it must cost a few $100 a month at least, right, for all this advice. Well, as soon as I heard that it cost $34 a month, I was like, sign me up immediately, and I'm never leaving. So certainly it was worth $34 to find out if it was worth it, right? Well, it's way more than worth it. It's worth a few $100 a month, not $34. You get access to the one thing that I think you need the most as someone who's trying to start a startup company, and that's knowledge and experience. And the advisors at GrowthCraft have knowledge and experience. And I wish I had known about it when we were starting back in August of 24. I didn't join, I don't think, until January of 25 or something like that. Or maybe it was December. But yeah, so there were a few missteps before I had GrowthCraft advisors to help me out. So I can't recommend it enough.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And
Yeah, thank you.
by the way, do tell me if you do find something you don't like about it, make sure you let me know right away.
There's this guy, Kevin Martin, I think. But anyway.
Hey, Kevin listens to this podcast, so that'll be good. That'll be funny.
He'll love that insert.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
He'll be all about that. He's doing great. I tell you, he's doing great where he's at. All right. Well, we always ask at the end of or close to the end of every episode this question of every single one of our guests. So, what would you like to promote today? If anything, beyond just your product, are you speaking anywhere? Do you have a website? Is there a place where people can come and check you out? How do we get connected with you? How do we find out more about Javela Friends and about what you're doing with your project?
Our website is javelafriends.com. One word. Javela is Javela. javelafriends.com. You can find out and sign up there too. It's June 4th, and we're just starting client testing right now. We plan to be finishing that up in a couple of weeks, and so our planned launch date is July 1st of 2025.
Congratulations. Good to hear.
Thank you. It was originally planned to be April 1st. There were some issues, but the 3-month delay is not that big of a delay when you think about startups in
Deadlines are
general.
made to be moved.
Yes. So the startup launch date is going to be July 1st. If you come before the launch date, the website's functioning. You can sign up if you want. and we'd be glad to have you. We might, in that case, we might want to maybe talk with you by email or even by Zoom, just because, you know, all the bells and whistles are not ready on the website yet. It's not quite polished. So you might have some questions that we could answer for you. We have a YouTube channel. It's @Javela Friends Senior Companions. So there's videos up there, are companion introduction videos. Each companion does the sort of an intro video of themselves. There's also the training video. We have some training materials that all the companions watch. We put those up there on YouTube so that the potential clients can see them also, so they can see what kind of training that the companions get. I intend to be speaking lots of places in the future, because I intend to go to different, community centers. You mentioned social services centers, nursing homes, etc., and to talk about the service. But so far, no one is beating down my door for a speaking fee or anything like that. So no place that that I'm going to be speaking anytime soon, but in the future we will be. So pretty much that's it. The website and our YouTube channel is where you can get information about us. And you can also, anytime you want, shoot us an email at info@javelafriends.com.
Awesome. That sounds great. And we will, of course, as usual, have links to all of those locations, all those places where you can find out more about Javela Friends and about Vlachos. We'll have those links in the show notes below the player of the podcast platform you are listening to this podcast on. Once again, I'd like to thank Jim Vlachos for coming on the GrowthCraft podcast. And with that, well, we're out.